Hello, everyone. This is Ed K. Smith, the co-host of The Asset Show, here with the other co-host of The Asset Show, Mr. Rob K. Hey, Rob.
Hey, mate. G'day, everyone.
Glad to have you watching us and tuning in today. We have a super special guest. All our guests are super special, but this one's super, super special. Jordan Fogarty from B Media and Animoca Brands. How are you, Jordan?
Yeah, very well. Thanks for having me. I'm sure you say that to everyone, but I'll take it.
No, you got an extra special one. So because Jordan's in Perth, so there's three Perth lads here now. So we don't often we do have people from Perth come on the show, but normally all the superstars are often somewhere else. So we've got a superstar local legend, as in Jordan, who's come on the show. So go, Rob.
Well, I'm not sure who's done this first, but I noticed you've got some cool artwork background as well, like me, Jordan.
Yeah. I think, this was meant to be. Not exactly sure what it is. So we've got different views in the office of what this big caterpillar or something behind me is.
Same with me. I'm not sure what this is. It's kind of like living blockchain behind me or something. But
yes, Metaverse catching up with you.
So I have been following stuff that Jordan's been doing, particularly with the recent acquisition and merger. Jordan will correct me on what the right technology is, not technology term, I should say, with Animoca Brands. Was it a merger, or was it a takeover or a joint venture, or what would you classify it as? Bit of everything?
It's interesting. You almost could call it a bit. So officially, apparently the official terminology is an acquisition if it's more than 50%. So they did acquire 67% of the business. So they're the major holders of the business now.
Cool. Okay. We'll dig into that a little bit later. But first of all, we're going to have a bit of a backstory. Who is this Jordan Fogarty dude? There's lots of people know who he is if they're in the Web3 blockchain crypto space. Unless they're living under a rock, they wouldn't know who you are. But most people, particularly if they're in Australia, have been following what's been going on with you. But let's get a bit of a backstory. So what were you doing leading up to getting into a digital agency? Because you founded B Media, what, about 12 years ago, was it?
It would be nearly 9 years ago now, actually.
Oh, 9 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So what were you doing leading up to starting a digital agency?
Leading up to starting, I'll cast my mind back a bit, hey. So I was studying at uni actually at the time, and started prior to B Media, started a virtual assistant business, because I was studying.
Cool.
This was quite cool back then. I was like, oh, you can have these different, people helping you work all around the world, and I was sort of, providing them to different businesses, and whether that from, USA or all over the world. So that was a bit of fun at uni, and really everyone was wanting help with digital marketing and this sort of digital technology space. So started learning more, training up more, and then I actually was working consulting for a property firm, and got pitched by a lot of agencies. And I was like, wow, they're sort of missing, the ones that I met with were really missing that connection to business growth. And, it was a lot of jargon and whatnot, but it was like, how does that actually drive a business towards its goals? So I went, you know what, why don't I start one myself? And that was how we got going.
Great.
Very, very cool. That sounds exactly like me. Same thing happened. Except I was a little baby compared to what I am now. I think I was back in 2003, but the same deal. I was working with clients, and then they all sudden same deal. I saw the need, and so you've done the same thing by the sounds of it. And it's one of those spaces where there's such a huge amount of demand, and it just keeps growing and changing. And morphing into the whole thing we're going to be crunching down and talking about, Web3 and blockchain. It's the next evolution, and Rob and I are always talking about ENS domains and Web3 domains and things like that, because it's all sort of like a full circle moment, I feel. So that's fantastic. So you started B Media. that's gone very well.
And did you start it as a normal digital agency, like just with the basic internet, social media, that kind of thing, without thinking about blockchain and Web3?
Yeah, and maybe like just to start, you know, for maybe some of the listeners, like I sort of sometimes throw out Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, assuming that you know,
Yep.
so I suppose started in Web 1 being sort of, you know, search and desktop right activity, and then scaled the business a few years into Web 2, right, being social and mobile. So it's been quite an organic journey now to move into this third phase. And it was actually quite cool. I remember a friend saying, you know, as the sort of discussion started with Yat, the Animoca Brands founder, and all of that, he said, "You've done this before a couple of times, you know, you've done this before with your business." Then another friend asked me, like, "Are you nervous about this?" And I was like, "I've done this before." Like, you know, maybe this feels a little bit more intimidating than Web 1 to Web 2 did, but you know, so I suppose that's been a bit of the organic growth journey, if you like.
Cool, cool. Yeah, it certainly is an exceptionally good fit for all the things we've been talking about, and having that experience in the Web 1/Web 2 space. History leaves clues, I always like to say, and there's a lot of, well, and Rob and I talk about this, we've had on multiple occasions on different episodes. There's all the naysayers about the whole crypto blockchain space, that it's just a fad and it's going to die and blah, blah, blah. And because things are down now in terms of prices of tokens and other things, that people are just, you know, piling on. But I've seen this before. I've seen it in the Web 1. I've seen it in Web 2. So to me, it is just the same thing. So we're very early, very early. So what sort of products and services do you guys mainly provide to clients now with B Media?
Yeah, so since like the last, I suppose, 9 months, like our focus heavily now is on working on really small number of like high impact communities, if you like, and we'll go into that in a second around like the AFL as a key one, but really very focused on joint ventures, and we occasionally will do sort of some consulting if it's very likely to lead to a really high impact project. Is a key focus. So really an end-to-end, our main delivery now is that end-to-end NFT sort of Web3 delivery model. Not all of it, most of it we do in our house, in-house at the moment, but other components we then have, you know, a network of 340 other brands and assets within the Animoca ecosystem to pull in if it makes sense, for example, to bring in an art group that can do generative art, or all these different great applications with the NFTs or the, you know, environments we're building. We can pull in all these different partners and tools to deliver the best program and you know, thing for fans.
Awesome. Rob, have you got any other questions you wanted to particularly
Well,
ask?
I'm just trying not to jump the gun here.
That's all right. I'll keep a track. We don't have to go in a chronological order now.
Well, I always say that to everyone. I'm like, it's never like A to Z in this space. It's like,
we'll loop back if we need to. I'll keep an eye on it, mate.
Can we talk more about, you know, who is B Media and Animoca Brands, and why have they come together, and what products and services do they represent?
Sure. So maybe I'll start with Animoca Brands and a bit of a story, which might give us a good color and lens. So a cool part of the story is, so about 5 years ago, I had a good friend of my brother actually say, "Listen, you should meet this guy. Got this tech business, sort of gaming and a bit of this and this." But I was in Sydney at the time, and he said, "You know, go catch up with him for lunch." And at the time, Animoca was sort of a $4 to $5 million company. Now being like a $8-9 billion company. It's only just years ago, literally less than a handful of years ago. And we caught up, really got along. We're both in this entrepreneurs organization, saw each other a couple of months later in Hong Kong. Like, it was, you know, sort of started to develop a bit of a friendship. And then similarly around that time, CryptoKitties and Yat and his team were sharing an office, and CryptoKitties was the first NFT project and almost broke Ethereum. So this was about 4 years ago, which back then, you know, none of us, you know, 99.9% of the population wouldn't have heard of NFTs or even the metaverse being a term widely used. So from that moment, yeah, decided I want to, this is the next internet. This is such an incredible moment for change. And started to invest in a lot of ones you would know now, heavily, get really involved in OpenSea, bought the Sandbox for a few $1 million. Now does 75% of Metaverse trade.
Crazy.
And so many different, a lot of the platforms and spaces you might, interact with and utilize are sort of part of that. And someone, it was made as strategic investments. Animoca itself has very few actually fully controlled subsidiaries. I think it's actually less than eight or nine, us being one of them. And then it has a lot of now, really like mid last year, it was 170 investments, part of the ecosystem. Now it's 340. So you can see the rate that they're just moving at is breakneck. And that, when you think of what is Animoca Brands, you ask that question, it's not a simple answer. So it's part venture capital, it's part actual metaverse builders. So the technology, the teams, the project management, but really a lot of this space, we sort of view it as like, how do we help IP? And if you want to use another word, brands or IP or companies like Marvel or Disney or AFL or London Football or these other different leagues around the world, which are all brands that we're helping at the moment bring into this world, where I suppose it's a nice synergy because we know a lot about this space and then they have this community and brand and values looking to find its place in this space. So it's quite a nice synergy.
So I guess, did Animoca see you and B Media as kind of like the Australian representative?
Yeah, so from that, I suppose that story, meeting Yat, and then I actually went on the board of Olive X, which is one of the Animoca brands. It's a fitness metaverse where you can, sort of move to earn and all of these fun other attributes. Went on the board of that a number of years ago. To be honest, wish I took that a lot more seriously now. Because, back at the time, fitness metaverse, we're like, what on even now, people, 99% of the population is like, what is that guy talking about? So then it came to a moment about last year, September, Yat wanted to get on a call and just discuss the space, because I suppose they're really looking for companies that have got some maturity and also, a bit of trust and connection with the company already that can come and execute. So the first one being the AFL, it's a 5-year joint venture, which we can go into it a bit later. And then really, so at the moment, our heavy focus is really on sporting leagues and sporting communities, sports and entertainment, because we feel that it's such an exciting space that Web3 can really, I suppose, add a lot of value to fans.
Huge, yeah. And the combination of all that with the esports growth, that's a huge space that I'm interested in as well. So the combination of things is mind-blowing.
It really is mind-blowing, yeah.
And the uptake of it. I mean, like Rob and I, we immerse ourselves in this stuff on a daily basis, don't we, mate? And
we do.
We can't. It's impossible to keep up with. So anyone who's just coming and getting exposed to this for the first time, it's like standing in front of a tsunami. It's just like, holy shit. But once you actually dive in,
you've got to dive in, don't you? Yeah,
you have to dive in head first, which is terrifying when that tsunami wall of 40 feet is coming at you. But if you don't, and thanks to Rob, this is the reason I got interested in it, was because of Rob. I was sort of aware of it and I sort of dabbled in it a couple of years ago. But Rob was in there on his, paddleboard. He was out in the, he was paddling on the tsunami.
And I thought, 40-foot wave.
Yeah. So I thought, shit, I better hang on.
You just gotta hang on to.
You can't, but it's exciting. It's probably the most exciting I've been with the whole internet since 20 years ago. So it's awesome.
Yeah, well, I was super excited about, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago when Ed said to me, there's this Perth brand called B Media that has signed up the AFL, to create NFTs. And I went, hang on, are we there yet? I couldn't believe it. Can you tell us more about how that all came about? Because I didn't know that AFL would even understand NFTs this early in the game.
I think it is a testament to what the AFL brand has created in the last, if you look at them in the last 5 to 10 years compared to some other major leagues with 3 letters as well, if you like, have been incredible innovators for their fan experience and engagement. You know, their digital assets and properties are just second to none, and they've really always taken that super innovative, driven approach towards new technology. So it was actually as early as really early last year, 2021, very early in the year, when they were like, we're interested in this space, we're going out to tender. They've got a lot of close connections with the NBA and even the NFL and other leagues in the US that were obviously diving headfirst. We've all seen, you know, the NBA Top Shot story. So that did take some time of collaboration and education, and they did go out to quite a lot of different groups. And yeah, I think it was sort of about late last year when the decision was made to go with us, and we really dived in headfirst in sort of January, early February to build this whole program. And what's exciting about that, again, that's quite philosophically important for us, is like the fact that it's a joint venture. We're all about, like, you want to ensure, and this comes a lot from Yat, our founder, like you want to make sure that, you know, you're in relationships that incentivize both parties to perform and win and get the most out of things. So that's a 5-year joint venture. It's essentially a split between us, the players, and AFL, sort of corporate, if you like, which is, again, fair and sharing. And it's been a really exciting journey, because the craziest things we've thrown on the table and thought of, they've never gone, whoa, you guys are losing, you know, you guys are off the planet. They've gone, cool, how do we do that? So there was the launch of the first NFT drop just a few weeks ago. So it all blends into one. Just a few weeks ago, which was a sellout in 12 hours. We would have sold out in 2 hours. There was a couple of payment processing with the payment provider. Couldn't actually handle the payments coming through, which is, I suppose, a good problem.
So how many NFTs sold at that 2 weeks ago?
So that was an allow list really early, which was approximately it was 3,800 packs. So about 12,000 or about 10,000. There was 3 per pack. And then we've done a recent drop just a couple of weeks ago, which was another, it's actually more than that, about 5,000-6,000.
Yeah, wow. And you guys registered the domain name aflmint.com.au for that one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the sort of branding for it, I suppose. It was a cool journey, but we liked us and the AFL. We liked Mint because it's kind of an Aussie colloquial for mint, something that's cool and awesome, but also minting an NFT. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, very cool. They were the packs.
Yeah.
And so you didn't know who you were getting? Was it the lucky dip type thing?
Yeah, it was a lucky dip. And then this Genesis ball here, that's something, you know, where there's a small percentage, handful of percentage in that first drop was approximately 10% of people were airdropped, like given one of those as a reward. And that's where we're building a lot of the utility and benefits and rewards of this program through that Genesis ball.
It's an amazing thing. And again, people who are only just coming into this for the first time, even people who have heard of NFTs for a year or two, I don't think they truly grasp the depth of utility of what a non-fungible token / NFT is and what it does. And you mentioned earlier, and I picked up on that, saying that the money that is being generated, or income, however you want to call it, from this, some of it's going to the AFL corporation, if you want to call it that. Some of it's going to players, some of it's going to, you know, fans. People share in the whole profit of this, and that's because of the smart contract capabilities of an NFT. So can you dive into what that structure is a little bit, just for people who don't really understand and think that NFTs are just pictures of apes? I'm not going to say monkeys because I hate that, but even though I just said it, but you know what I mean? It is a bored ape, not a monkey, not a bored monkey. That would be a good name too. But can you dig into that a little bit, please?
I mean, if you think of it like this, the current, let's use the AFL as an example, current sporting leagues with their current structure and setup are rather extractive in nature when you think about it. So you go to the game, you watch something and you pay for it, and that's sort of it. You are getting value and entertainment, but it would be really hard structurally for the AFL to share in the rewards and share in parts of the revenue. Like, how would you even possibly, that's just literally impossible in our current like infrastructure and ecosystem of how we do things. So the amazing things about this new world or space of NFTs and the blockchain is you can truly, let's say you're a big fan of a young Sonny, this Freo Dockers player. Like I know some of my mates, his named his dog after it, etc. You're a real fan of this guy, young guy, total gun. You can actually trade buying NFTs of his. It'll be shown on the blockchain forever that you were a real true supporter of him back in the early days. Back him, value him. And as he grows in his career, his NFTs and assets are going to increase in value. So it's a really exciting way for that fan engagement and real involvement in the league and the players, and to share in the upside. And I think what we are really excited about, and not just, they are nice, moments or images. And it's almost, we see that as like the ticket to the dance or the pass into the stadium. In the stadium is where the world of fun and reward and enjoyment is happening. And that's where, this term, I suppose, utility is really exciting, because that's what can Mickey, he's 28, he loves the footy, maybe he likes, rugby, maybe he likes golf, a whole bunch of other things. How can we build such a valuable community within AFL Mint and sporting communities in Australia and further abroad, where you can be rewarded for your activities? You can literally be rewarded. We've got games and assets where, called sort of move to earn, where you can actually earn tokens and rewards that can be transferred for money, the running or actually activity. So all of these type of things, I suppose, are quite exciting, because it makes you, I suppose, appreciate that it's more than just buying an image that you might be able to get off Google, for example.
Yeah, or take a screenshot. I mean, when I think of what we're talking about now, we understand it. But if I'm going to think about my mum, who's a massive Eagles fan, right? Yeah. How is she going to understand what's going on here? I think, in my mind, maybe we could explain NFTs as kind of like digital merchandise, like digital. You know how people in the 90s used to go to the AFL games, and they used to have a picture, like a poster of their favorite player, like John Worsfold or something, and then they used to get John Worsfold to sign it, and they used to put it on their wall in their lounge room. And when everyone came over, they used to say, "Look, I've got John Worsfold's signature on my wall." Now, I guess you could hold up your phone and say, "Well, I've got a limited edition NFT that there's only 10 of these in 10,000 of this particular player." Is that what we're talking about?
Almost like it's a great analogy. Like, let's say there's for your mum run. I think of my grandma, who's just a mad Eagle supporter. We got her years ago, like a signed jersey that still hangs in her room, and she's imagine having a player card, let's say, John Worsfold, if he was still playing, or Buddy Franklin, or whoever it might be, a player that someone loves. So just like that being a trading card that you have in your wallet or you have hidden in a safe spot. Imagine if it's constantly updating with the stats, the data, that player gets traded. So this is the ways that it can become this evolving dynamic, really valuable. And hey, that can be worth more in 5 years if that player's career just absolutely
true. Imagine if you get basically it's like an old school baseball card. Yeah, but it's a modern digital NFT of a football player. I know what you're saying. If you get them in when they've just come in from the draft, and then every week you're checking it, it's showing how many goals they've kicked, all that sort of stuff over the years.
Australian team, or all of these different aspects.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Or something. This is where it's really the usage of the utility of the NFT is only limited by the imagination, in my opinion. So you could have something where this particular rookie who's new to the game is having a special event where he's going to meet his fan to hold the NFT, and it's only for people who hold the NFT. So that could be 20 people, it could be 2,000 people. It's completely obviously up to
the sky's the limit here. The
Sky's the
AFL
limit.
could say we've got a VIP party on the grounds of the grand final for the 200 people that own that special glowing football, NFT.
Yeah,
spot on.
Yeah.
And that's the fun. I mean, this is getting the project launched was such a big component, but now it's like building this community and adding value. And we're really excited, even AFL corporate partners and sponsors, and such a world of opportunity to bring back value to these fans. We come back like, it's about Mickey. He's 28, he's this. Like, what about an airline? He might want to fly between games. What about this? How can these typical organizations, if you like, come in and provide value to these communities? And I suppose, again, the blockchain is such a nice technology because that can be easily done. You can be airdropped to your wallet. Here's this at the Virgin, Virgin or Virgin Lounges or boom, 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 boom. There's so many exciting ways it can happen quite seamlessly.
Yeah, it's great.
It really is a very exciting time. And we haven't even scratched the scratch. I mean, it gets overused, but it's accurate when I say we are at the very beginning. And for a sporting analogy, we haven't even jumped on the field yet, really. I mean, we're still all standing around looking at the oval going, shit, we could go there. Yeah, still warming up. Absolutely. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And it's which is why I'm so excited when I see things on the news when they're saying, oh, this thing's all over and done and dusted and it's just a fad. And I'm going, yes, this.
Well, I love to use this example, like buying dog food in 1996 online. This has literally been a nightmare. Like, for example, some people are like, oh, you've got to set up a wallet. It's a bit of a, the user experience coming into Web3 is not great. We all know that. Like, it's a couple of steps for security and for other purposes and reasons. Like, it's not as easy as buying.
It's still a bit clunky today.
A little bit, totally. But again, like, buying dog food online in 1996 there wasn't all the big payment providers. There wasn't all of these, it was still early days. Then obviously the .com crash of 2000, people were like, oh, this is just ridiculous. Like, why would you buy like dogfood.com? That's just such a waste of money. And now we kind of look back and go, all right, it's built the biggest organizations in all of history.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's where Rob and I spend most of our time, isn't it, mate? In that whole domain space.
Well, mostly you and me just talk every day about what can happen. And then all of a sudden things happen quicker than we thought. Yeah,
that's true. That's truly it. But yeah, I think that whole utility, giving back to the buyers of the NFT or the fans or whatever you want to classify them. And again, it's like I'm a big follower and have been of Gary Vaynerchuk for years. I don't know whether you do, Jordan. I'm a VFriends owner.
Yeah, okay.
I'll show you what I got 2 seconds in the mail the other day. Now, this is a real nerd out thing here, but this is for context. I'll hold it up there. Right, can you see that kangaroo?
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is what they call the click and collect cards. That when you bought a VFriends 2, you could opt in to get these sent, and sort of like they're collectible cards, and they get sent to you. They're all randomly assembled. You get a pack of 52, so it's really sort of luck of the draw what you get. I got that kangaroo, which is a 5 of 5 card out of about 1.8 million cards that were made.
Yeah, wow.
So it got sent to a dude in Australia. It's worth a couple of grand off the bat before things have even got started.
Yeah,
and it was just, and it didn't cost me anything other than the original NFT purchase.
Well, I think your analogy in this case is this is what can happen with these AFL.
Absolutely.
NFTs, right?
And I see just there, like your passion and excitement, you want to share it. Like,
exactly.
That's people go like, oh, why is this worth that? Or why is, why was that Beeple, bought for $89 million, this NFT? And I'm like, well, sorry. And I showed this other photo, this number 10 painting, which is a real life painting. And it's literally just like orange color, one orange color. I'm like, that's 90 million. And it's not even safely secure. Like, it can be burnt down. It can be stolen. It can be lit up on fire. Vandalized. It's all perception, right? And I think that's what's exciting. You know, you mentioned them before, the Bored Apes, and we were at an event, you know, about 6 or 7 months ago, and someone said, yeah, well, that's just for rich people that drive Ferraris and Maseratis and whatnot. It's like,
but it didn't start out that way.
They were $150, $200. But then
just stop reminding me, please.
What's that?
Well,
stop reminding me, Jordan.
We did hear about them earlier. Anyway.
Look, multiple people in our domain industry were onto the Bored Apes like the early, and kept sending me stuff to say, Ed, just spend $1,000 and get 5
Come
of
on,
these.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
You know what we're talking about here,
I didn't.
including these AFL NFTs. We're talking about, you know, compassion, like we saw from Ed a minute ago, but basically digital flex. And it doesn't have to be like too show-offy. It doesn't mean you have to show off you've got a Rolex watch or a Ferrari. Yeah. It's basically, if you've got an AFL card of your favorite player and there's only 10 of those cards, it's kind of cool to be having a beer with your mates and saying, you know, I've got this Nick Natanui card. Yeah. And everyone's like, hang on, there's only 10 of those. You must be a real fan, you know?
Yes, and a real backer of Nick
That's
Nat,
right.
Yes. Wherever it might
and
be.
the guy might say, I am. I didn't just, you know, I had to hunt this guy who owned it down and I had to swap him these 3 other players and all that sort of stuff. And then it's a game within a game, right?
Yeah. And how cool that is, you know, in 10 years' time when, you know, when he was first, you know, number whatever in the rookie draw, I was buying his stuff and now look at him, it's just, you know, like.
Yeah, I believed in him. I bought all his cards when they were like $10 and now they're a couple of grand each because I followed him for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives people another, instead of people gamble on the game, and I don't think you're supposed to a lot of with these sports betting stuff, for people that don't want to, you know how there's always all these guys that are betting on a game, they're more excited about the game because they're involved. For people that don't want to do that, they can be involved in having like NFTs and trading NFT digital assets and still get that same kind of buzz, maybe.
100. Yeah. No, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So we mentioned earlier another buzzword that has been used a hell of a lot is the term meta or metaverse, particularly with Facebook changing its name to Meta. We know what it is, but I would like your explanation, Jordan, of what is the metaverse or a metaverse, because there's not just one. What is it?
So I think the way I like to explain it is like starting with a real world example that we understand. Like we're all on our smartphones, right? Like live on them, you know, you get those updates. You've been on your phone for, you know, 8 hours a day, the last or whatever it is, 5 hours a day. The metaverse is the next evolution of an immersive online experience. If you really want to keep it nice and simple, is the way I like to keep it nice and simple, is a way that we can, instead of just being boxed in on our phone, walking across the street or whatever, is we can move between worlds and actually these digital experiences in a more immersive, enjoyable way. Like, I don't know what it's like even right now, right? Like we could be sitting here on a Zoom call, and then during COVID and lockdowns, and I was in Melbourne for the whole thing for 9 months. Like it would have been much cooler if I could have been having a headset and actually sitting there in boardrooms, whether it's board meetings in London or Sydney or Tokyo. It's just, I think it's going to be, what about even an example of sitting on the couch at home and your mates are either side of you, but one's actually in London and one's actually in San Fran, but you're watching a game together and you're experiencing it. So I think these are just some examples. It's not just one space. It's almost like saying, you know, what's a smartphone? It's like, smartphones were an incredible invention, you know, 10 years ago.
Yeah. Are you mostly talking about virtual reality there, Jordan? Like,
I suppose I'm talking about, you know, not all metaverse experiences you need like headsets and goggles. People are like, that's a bit nerdy or whatever it might be. But I think as the hardware equipment and our technology evolves, like we'll be stepping into more. Remember the Google Glass years ago? Like that was way before its time, as us as society were ready for. But I think that things like that will take a resurgence where it'll be, you know, able to enjoy these digital experiences, I suppose, in a more immersive fashion, if you like, through AR, VR, etc.
Yeah, well, if you remember what it was like trying to watch just a simple video on your computer in 1997.
Yeah.
It was
the dial-up tone, and
it was torturous, and the picture was, you know, like that big. It's only a matter of time. The whole usage will pick up again, early days. So that's cool. So metaverse.
Yeah, can I hop in on top of metaverse?
Yeah, mate.
You know, some of us are talking about augmented reality as well. So I mean, I know Apple are working on glasses, but imagine if someone pulls off you know how you can basically see the metaverse inside the glass as well as reality. So imagine in the future you're going to an AFL game at a stadium, you're wearing your glasses, and at the same time this screen's showing you someone's NFT that they've bought, which is standing outside the stadium, and you can only see it if you've got your augmented glasses on.
Well, Rob, this might, you know, freak you out again with how quickly things are coming. So I've actually got a strategy session on this in a couple of hours. We are well in development of some augmented reality experiences
where people can hold their phone up at the stadium and see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we could be rolling that out. Like I can't give a date, but very soon.
Holy shit!
You're working on it. See, we've
already been working on it. Yeah. So basically, what's really cool about it is you can pull out your phone at the ground and come into my trophy cabinet and actually walk in.
Yeah.
Physically stepping into the trophy cabinet and showing all your different NFTs. There's a couch there. There's a bar. And then, so that's one experience which will be really cool. Another one, remember Pokemon Go, where people, you know, climbing towers for Pokemons or whatever. Similar to that, we'll be able to bring these in, you know, real, like not real, so metaverse digital experiences to real world at the game day, where, you know, have challenges and experiences. I know my mates and I were just at it, and it seems like something kids would do, but no, we're all big kids at the end of the day. It would have been fun during
the fans. It doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah, it's like
you know. Hey, you've got my brain ticking over now. We love talking about this stuff. Imagine if, like Pokemon, imagine if the AFL hide NFT cards under certain seats in the stadium, and you have to use your phone to look under the seat to see if it exists there.
Yeah.
You're already thinking about that.
If you're working on that too. Rob,
are we imagining where, you know, we might hide at 20 or 100 around the stadium, maybe not, you know, and you can go and find that in a corridor or find it somewhere and then basically collect it. And then that goes to your cabinet and you get rewarded. And yeah, it's exciting.
Mate, I think Rob's been tapping in your emails, Jordan, because he's predicting everything. I think so.
All my fun is just thinking about the future, and then I just can't believe how quick it comes true.
That's very, very cool.
That's so exciting to hear you guys working on that. I'm sure. I mean, the fans today they don't get what's coming. Until it's launched, I don't think they'll fully understand, because, you know, we look at all this technology every day, but if you tell a fan, like, today you can go to the stadium, use your phone to hunt for an NFT card in the metaverse in the stadium, it'll blow their mind.
And it'll probably happen when people are running around, like the Pokemon Go thing. You're like, what are all these people doing running around, you know, this park? And then people's like, hey, get on board. Like, you do this and you might get a beer.
That's when it'll go. That's when it'll go viral. When everyone's looking at everyone else running around the stadium like Pokemon Go, hunting for AFL NFTs.
So mate, I've got a side question from a friend of ours who's been on the podcast. Both lads are asking these. Ben Simpson from Collective Shift. Where Rob and I are heading over to the crypto convention in Queensland next week.
Yeah.
I don't know whether are you going to that? You'll be there.
Me and David from the AFL speaking there.
Oh, great.
Oh, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I can introduce.
We should know this. We should be keeping up with this.
Oh, it's so hard. There's so many people who are speaking of this thing. we had Dave on talking about it, but it's even changed a lot. That was back in July when we had Dave on talking about the whole. And there's been so many different things that have come on, and new speakers and various things. But anyway, one of the questions was, how are you finding it in terms of employing people in this space, in this technology. Is that a challenge at the moment, trying to get people who have any sort of skill set? Because this is all new cutting edge stuff. So how has that been?
The way I think of that is 6 years ago, when we were making our jump from Web 1 to Web 2, there was no one with Facebook skills of any kind. Yep. No one even knew what Facebook advertising was. There was no one with the digital skills that we needed at the time. So we took really serious, like our training, onboarding, our systems, our like all that serious, you know, like how do we take someone from where to go super quickly? And I think that was also part of what Animoca was really interested with us, was our discipline and how seriously we took that throughout the journey of our business. So again, it's just, we're applying that. We've built curriculum for Flow, which is a type of blockchain, you know, and a number of different ones, Web 2 to Web 3 bridging courses. So that's something we've spent a lot of time in the last 6 months as well, building up. And we sort of have a term, we call them like, we need octopuses. You're like, what's that?
Octopuses, yeah.
Octopuses are the most phenomenal creatures there. They've got, you know, 8 hearts. They've got, it's just crazy when you look into what it is. So we need people that are hungry, interested, passionate, can learn quickly, because it's all such new information. And it's not just the tech dev side, it's also running a project, being, you know, thinking of how do you build these products for fans. We sort of like, that's the lens we look at it, and we're like, it's our responsibility to train up and things.
Yeah, cool.
It's not easy to answer the question.
No, it never is. And I've been through all that sort of stuff too, having the skill set of people available to do this stuff, because it happens so quick. That upskilling is a challenge. So so in terms of, you know, we've talked about the AFL, and I know Cricket Australia has got something coming out soon. Their NFL, their NFTs are coming out. Anything else that you can let us know about that you're working on that you think is coming up that could be exciting in the sporting arena, or anything else?
Yeah, so we're working on an exciting, like, soccer, not the Soccer World Cup, but a Soccer World Cup, which is can't give too many specifics, but there's not too many Soccer World Cups around. So that's really exciting. That's 12 countries.
Cool.
Oh wow!
And that's, you know, got an audience of nearly 300 million people, and
wow,
it's exciting. Our big vision is, what can this look like in 3, 4, 5 years? Because when everyone's doing this, you can connect all these communities, you can connect all these experiences, connect all these like aligned brands and companies. You can really start to create a new kind of almost like the background of your screen, Rob, like a new web and connection of things that are, I suppose, putting the fan first, rather than just trying to extract as much as you can out of a fan. It's like, no, come and be involved in this economy, and we'll all rise.
Great.
That's very, very cool. All right, well, we look forward to seeing that stuff roll out. No, that's cool. And you know, because we're so early, at some point in the future, we'd like to have you back on, Jordan, to talk about things and how they've developed. Because, like, if we have you on in another 6 months or a year, a lot will have happened in that 6 months or a year. So if you're up to that, because we've only scratched the scratch in this conversation.
We could do it in one of our metaverse spaces, and that could be quite cool.
There's a great idea. We should do a podcast. That'd be cool. Yeah, okay. All right. That's Rob and I's head.
Give me 6, 7 months.
All right. You've heard it here. Rob and I will be hounding Jordan to get that happening, and
we'll be hanging out in the metaverse talking about in 6, 7 months stuff that we thought would take 5 years.
Yes.
but it's very cool. And look, at some point, we'd love to have Yat on from Animoca. We'll obviously hit you up as you're connected. I think I might even be connected to him on LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, that's cool. Anything else, Rob, that we've got? Well, we've got Jordan and aware of his time, and he's very gracious with it.
I think this is a great introduction to B Media and Animoca Brands and the AFL NFTs. If anyone wants to come and see Jordan talk some more about this, they can fly to the Gold Coast next weekend. And if I quickly share the screen here.
We've got 2 free tickets we're giving away.
Yeah, we've got 2 free tickets. You'll see Jordan's here. CEO
There
and
he
founder
is.
of Animoca. We should have seen this because people are getting at it every day. Binance is there. Michael Saylor's meant to be there. We're not sure if he's still going to turn up. There's heaps of people speaking. I've heard it's pretty much 5,000 people or something are coming to the Gold Coast Convention Centre for this. I think there's only 100 tickets left. Ed and I are giving away 2. So if people want to try and grab them, you better email us in the next 24 hours because we're gonna draw them soon. So come along to the Gold Coast, see Jordan talk and hear all about the latest crypto technology.
Yeah. And it's worth coming just to see these 3 Perth guys. I mean, really, we're pretty awesome dudes.
We'll be on for 12 hours straight. It'll be,
Yeah. Come Monday morning when we fly back, I think we'll be a bit worse for wear, but that's what happens at these things, especially with the 2 after parties that are going to be happening, and probably 10 other after parties from different things. But so cool. All right, Jordan, any last message you want to say to anyone?
No,
say happy birthday. You want to say happy birthday to your mum or anything?
Her birthday.
Your mum, if your mum watches. Okay, all right. Well,
I'm going to try and buy some rare Eagles NFTs from.
Get onto AFL Mint. I think this drop.
AFLmint.com.au.
Awesome.
Actually, that's a good question. I know we're all talking over each other at this point, but if you've had one set of NFTs come out, when's the second set coming out?
Second set is coming before the grand final.
Nice to know.
Cool. Awesome.
There you go. Hopefully I'm not saying anything I'm allowed to say, but I said it. So there we go.
No, that's actually good. People are going to go and check aflmint.com.au every few days now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it. All good. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe and like and all the other things we love you to do to help us boost this show. Rob and I love all the comments you make. And again, thanks to Jordan for taking time out of his exceptionally hectic and busy schedule. Thanks, mate. We appreciate it. And we'll see you on the Gold Coast, mate.
We will.
All right.
Awesome.
Take care, everybody. Bye for now.